Imagine the following scene. A seemingly harmonious home collapses in a matter of seconds when a woman discovers that her biggest financial security has disappeared overnight. And the worst, the thief lived under the same ceiling, disguised as an untouchable figure. When she had the courage to confront the guilty, her husband, instead of supporting her, turned into her tormentor, demanding that she kneel into respect to the sacred mother. This is not fiction, it is the cruel reality that many families hide behind forced smiles. Good night, listeners. I am Andre Branco, and today, here in Maternal Mazes, let's dive into a story that proves how money can reveal the worst faces of those we swear to love. A plot of betrayal, manipulation, and an unequal battle where justice always seems on the wrong side. Prepared? So listen carefully. For Elena, those 7 million reais were not just numbers in one account, they were the legacy of a lifetime of your grandmother's sacrifices. A woman who saved every penny, lived with modesty and, in the end, left her granddaughter not only money, but the chance to build a future. Elena kept that treasure in a bank security box for 3 years, without even revealing the exact amount to her husband, Dimitri. "It's just a few economies my grandmother left me," she said cautiously. After all, in a world where even the nearest can become wolves, discretion is an armor. But life in rent was already weighed. 4 years paying for another's dream, while they could barely gather enough to enter their own property with his salaries, manager in a construction company, and her, accountant, it would take 2 decades of extreme economy. It was then that Elena decided to use her grandmother's money. When he opened the notes on the table, Dimitri's eyes widened. 7 million? He repeated incredulously. "Now we can buy a real apartment," she replied proudly. But what should be a moment of celebration became the first step to the disaster. Dimitri insisted on showing the money to his mother, Svetlana Igorovna. "She has never seen so much money together," he argued. "He spent his life as a teacher, earning crumbs. Let her at least admire." Elena resisted, something in her instinct screamed not to expose that fortune, but gave in to the pressure. The error was fatal. Seeing the notes, Svetlana not only was surprised, her eyes shone with an ambition Elena had never seen before. "Where are you going to keep it all?" he asked, with a curiosity that sounded more as a calculation. "In a safe at home," Elena replied, indicating the equipment hidden behind the bedroom wardrobe. "Only I know the password." Svekrof, however, did not give up. "It's not safe. And if they steal? Better to leave on the bench," he suggested, while his fingers, almost unintentionally, stroked the banknotes. From that day, Svetlana came to attend the house with suspicious attendants. Before, it appeared once a week, now it was almost daily. "I brought soup, I came to wash your clothes, I just wanted to see how you are," excuses that hid a very clear purpose. Elena noticed that Svekrof always found a reason to get in the room, watering the plants, tidying up the bed, looking for Dimitri's socks. Each time she passed near the safe, her heart accelerated. Until, a month later, distrust became sure. When opening the safe for a routine check, Elena found everything intact. "I'm paranoid," he thought, relieved. But the feeling that something was wrong didn't leave her. Svetlana began to investigate her schedules. "What time do you go to work? Neighbors have a reserve key. What if something happens to the children and I can't come in?" Dimitri, without blinking, handed a copy of the keys to his mother. "It's for everyone's security," he said, ignoring Elena's silent protest. For him, Svetlana was untouchable, a saint who raised her son alone after the diver. CIO, an exemplary teacher whose word was law. Question it. Impossible. You're sick, Elena. My mother, a thief. This is offensive. He laughs when his wife dared to share her suspicions. But Elena was not crazy. He installed a hidden camera in the room, the size of a matchbox, pointed directly to the safe. 3 days of clean recordings, only Svetlana adjusting the details of the environment, such as the territory. Until, on the 4th day, the trap worked. Elena arrived early from work, surprised by an unexpected clearance. The house should be empty, but Svetlan's shoes were at the entrance. Silent, she approached the room and heard suspicious noises, something being scratched, moved in a hurry. As he opened the door, he came across Svekrof kneeling, the open safe, and packs of money being tucked into a large bag. The floor was already splashed with banknotes, the train of a well-planned operation. "What are you doing?" Elena asked, blinking the light. "Svetlana didn't even win." "Lenotka, you arrived early," he said calmly as he continued to pack the money. "I'm taking this to a safer place. This vault is a joke, anyone can open it. Put everything back. Now," Elena ordered, her voice shaking with anger. It was then that the mask fell. Svetlana stood up and looked at her daughter-in-law with disdain. "You don't send me, girl. These millions are my legacy too. After marriage, everything is the couple, and as Dmitri's mother, I'm entitled to active voice." Elena knew it was a lie. Inheritances received before marriage are untouchable, but arguing was useless. Svetlana always found a breach, an excuse, a way to victimize. "Let's wait for Dmitri to arrive and solve it," Elena proposed, trying to gain time. "There is nothing to argue," said Svekrof, closing the bag with a definitive gesture. That's when Elena blocked the exit. "You don't leave here with my money." The tone of Svetlana hardened. "Take it out of my way. Don't forget, I'm not your friend. I'm your Svekrof." The fight was inevitable. Despite the difference in strength, Elena fought with tooth and nails by what was yours. The bag fell, the notes flew on the floor. It was at this moment that Dmitri arrived. Seeing the scene, the mother and wife on the floor, surrounded by scattered money, he froze. "What is happening here?" he asked, confused. Svetlana, master in the art of manipulation, wasted no time. With tears in his eyes, he began to make his version. His wife went crazy. "Dmitri. He accused me of stealing, assaulted me. I just wanted to help." Elena tried to explain, but was interrupted by a slap on her face. "How dare you offense my mother?" Dmitri shouted, his eyes injected with fury. "Ask forgiveness. Skake yourself and ask forgiveness right now." And so, in a matter of minutes, Elena realized the cruel truth. There was no justice in that home. The money may even buy a house, but you don't buy loyalty. And when greed disguises on maternal love, the battle is already lost before it even begins. Svetlana Igorevna adjusted her clothes with a theatrical gesture and launched her son a resentful look. "His wife attacked me like a savage," he complained, the trembling voice of manufactured indignation. "I just wanted to help you save money, and she called me a thief." Elena didn't go back. "She was stealing money from the vault," he replied firmly. "I caught her in the act. I wasn't stealing, I was transferring the money to a safe place." With a triumphant smile, Svetlana took the keys out of her pocket. "I have every right to be in this house. Your son gave me the keys." Dmitri looked at his wife with an expression of doubt. "Lena, Mom is right. This vault is not safe. She has a German safe at home, breaking out." But Elena didn't let herself manipulate. Pointed to the hidden camera. "Everything is recorded. I caught her." Dmitri didn't even look at the images. "Your face darkens. Heaven of anger. Do you spy on my mother? Install cameras? How do you dare?" "I'm protecting our money," she countered. "You're my. We are a family. And my mother is also a family." Elena tried to explain that the inheritance was personal property, but was ignored. Dmitri's fury was blind not for the truth, but by the sick loyalty to the woman who had created him to be her puppet. "How I dare to contradict my holy mother," he roared, pushing her so hard that she fell to the floor. Svetlana smiled victoriously, looking at her daughter-in-law from above. "This is better," he whispered. "Now ask forgiveness for your accusations." But Elena was not the type who kneels to tyrants. He got up, collected the notes and returned them to the safe with a definitive gesture. Dmitri tried to stop her, but she stared at him with a determination he never saw in her. "This money is mine. And no one will touch him. Tomorrow you change the locks," he spat. "And you can pack your bags. If you don't trust my mother, don't trust me." The next day Elena did just that. He changed the locks, transferred each ruble to a password bank account that only she knew. Dmitri spent 3 days in cold silence. Svetlana, in turn, simply disappeared without visits, without phone calls, without her maternal concerns. A week later, The husband could not stand the weight of tension. "We need to divorce," he announced, as if she were to blame. "I can't live with a woman who disrespects my mother." Elena did not argue. "I knew that marriage had been a corpse for a long time. It was all that it had to be, bury it." The divorce was fast. There were no significant goods to divide, only the inheritance that, thanks to Elena's lawyer, remained untouchable. Dmitri tried to complain a slice, but the evidence was irrefutable. The money was hers alone. As he moved back to his mother's apartment, Elena rented a modest, "But yours." "I got a job as a head of accounting in a multinational, with a salary that allowed him to breathe without depending on anyone." Dmitri called a few times, pleading for reconciliation. "I was wrong. I should have believed you." But Elena had already learned the hardest lesson: who allows others to trample their dignity once, will be condemned to repeat the cycle forever. Refused each call. Not out of hatred, but for self-preservation. A year later, the irony of fate knocked on his door. A police officer appeared with news that Elena would never expect. Svetlana Igorevna was being accused of embezzlement of funds from the school where she worked. It was not the first time. Years of fraud, counterfeit documents, inflated values, public money diverted to personal accounts. The damage exceeded 3 million rubles. The director only discovered after a surprise audit. Svetlana tried to blame a younger colleague, but the graphical expertise incriminated her without a doubt. The policeman asked Elena if she had noticed disappearances of money during the wedding. She showed the video she had kept, the undisputed proof that the Holy Mother was actually a professional thief. That recording sealed Svetlana's fate. The court condemned it 4 years on parole and the full return of the stolen amount. But the money was disappeared, spent on luxurious reforms, expensive furniture, vacation on seaside resorts. Dmitri was forced to sell his mother's apartment to cover the debts. Svetlana, now homeless, began to live in a rented room in a communalka, with the shadow of prison hanging over her head. The son tried to help her, but her wage barely gave to survive. Conditional freedom was a trap, a single slip, and she would stop behind bars. Without a job, no reputation, no future, Svetlana Igorevna became a burden that even maternal love could not disguise. Dmitri, desperate, appeared at Elena's door more than once. "Forgive me. I was an idiot. My mother, she wasn't who I thought." But Elena had already closed that chapter. "A man who pushed me on the ground for defending a thief doesn't deserve my compassion," he said, without grudge, only with the coldness of those who have overcome the pain. He then insisted on financial help. "Mom is sick. We need money for medicines. I'm drowned in debt." Elena gave her 50,000 rubles not out of mercy, but to buy peace. 2 years later, Svetlana suffered a stroke. Dmitri was divided between work and the hospital, begging for resources he did not have. Once again, he knocked on Elena's door. Once again, she refused. "Remember when she tried to steal my money and then demanded that I ask forgiveness? Some debts don't pay for checks." The ex-master survived, but was partially paralyzed. He walked with a cane, his left hand inert. Dmitri hired a caregiver, which led him to emotional and financial bankruptcy. Meanwhile, Elena's life flourished. He met Igor, a kind surgeon who never allowed his mother to interfere with his marriage. They were married 3 years after divorce. They had a daughter, then a son. Elena opened her own accounting firm. They lived in a spacious house on the outskirts of Moscow. The children were studying in private schools. From time to time, Dmitri turned on. "Mom needs more medicines. I can't afford it. No woman wants to be with me. They all run away when they find out about my mother." Elena listened in silence, transferred a symbolic amount and turned off. Until, 5 years ago, came the last request. She passed away. "I need help with the funeral." Elena sent 100,000 rubles. "Don't look for me anymore." Today, when she looks back, Elena smiles when she remembered from that day when she caught Svetlana with her hands on her safe. At the time, he felt that the world collapsed. But the truth? Those were the first bricks of a prison that she herself destroyed. She got rid of a weak husband, a predatory mother-in-law, a cycle of humiliation that would be repeated forever. Sometimes justice does not come from laws, but from life, which has a habit of returning, with interest, everything we take from others. And Elena? She only reaped what she planted, freedom. The 7 million rubles of the legacy were not a curse, but the greatest blessing Elena could receive. Not only did they reveal the true face of a cowardly husband and an unscrupulous mother-in-law, as they gave him the clarity necessary to understand that those around her deserved neither their time nor their hearts. More than that, it was the passport to a new life, built on the foundations she has chosen herself, a family where love is not a bargaining chip, and respect need not be begged. Dmitry and Svetlana Igorevna crawled at their feet, pleading for money, for forgiveness, for a second chance. But the time of the supplications was over. Elena had already forgiven them, not for them, but by themselves, not to carry the weight of a resentment that was not worth it. But forgiving did not mean backwards. She had a new life now, a new home, a future that shone with possibilities they could never offer her. And for the first time, the past was just that, past. Nothing more than a shadow that dissipated to the sunrise of every day she chose to live in peace.